I can now see I've got an invoice there for this particular order. The invoice isn't posted though, so I would need to actually go and post this invoice separately. Now I'm going to have a quick look at the credit control folder. So the first thing I'm going to look at is the outstanding balances, and this will basically just show me a list of the top 10 outstanding balances, top 10 debts effectively. I can increase that number here to show 20, 50, 100, etc. So we can see the top 10 balances there. I'm now going to go and have a look at the overall age debt, which is the next option down. Okay, and this shows us basically our age debtors. What I can do is, if I drill down using these hyperlinks, I can drill into the customer, and when I drill into a customer from here, it automatically puts us in the credit receivables tab. Now in here we can put promise dates on payments, send copy invoices and that sort of thing. So what we're going to do is enter a promise payment date on a couple of invoices. So let me go down to these invoices, and we're going to put a promise payment date of the end of January. I'll do that on invoice 1, 2 and 3. Okay, and then if I tick 2 of these invoices, any 2, let's presume the customer said I didn't receive the invoice to start with, then we can tick 2 invoices and click the send copy invoice button. What this will then do is open the normal print dialog screen, and what I can then do is go and print them to an email. Like so. And then print. What that should do is just go and put them in my outbox for me. Okay, so it tells me it's saved in outbox, done. So I'm going to close that now and close that as well. I'm going to have a look at the mail client, and I should now see in here that I've got my invoice PDF. If I open that up, I can see there I've got my 2 invoices in there, which are the 2 I ticked to send. Okay, because we put 2 promised payments on that customer, on them 2 invoices, what I can now do is go into promised payment screen, and what we'll see is any invoices that haven't got a promised payment will just show with this date of 01/01/01. I'm just going to minimize that section. Now these ones are the ones that I put a promised payment on, so if you've got other promised payment dates, it will group them all together as you go through, so you can quickly see what's been promised, so you can easily have a look at it and say by the end of the month, you know, who's promised to pay me, who do I need to chase for payment if they haven't already paid me. Okay, let's have a quick look at the predicted cash flow, which is based on the average days to pay of each customer, according to how long they've taken in the past to pay us, and then it looks at their outstanding debts, etc. Okay, now we're going to try and use the lowest cost route routine for doing a statement run. So what we're going to do is go and make sure that our data is set up correctly. So the first thing that I'm going to do is going to have a look at ATOY Customer UK, make sure it has a default email, an email address on the default contact or account record, which it does. I've got one there. I'm then just going to check the French customer to make sure that it has no email address, but it does have a fax number. So it's got a fax number. Let me just check the contact to make sure that hasn't got an email. No, so that's set up correctly as well. And now I'm going to have a look at the US customer to make sure they haven't got any email address or fax number. I'm just going to double click the contact to make sure that hasn't got an email address or a fax number, which is correct. and lastly that they should have at least one outstanding transaction on their account, which they should have. So what I'm going to do now is go and run a statement run. Okay, so in here we can select which customers we want to run the statement run for. And run it for all, which will show me all my customers. Now what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to tick the customers that I've just been looking at, which is UK, US and French customers, and we can see from here that they have all got a balance, I think. Yeah, they've all got balances on them, so that should work okay. So I'll go next and finish, and this should bring me up the print dialog box, and this time I'm going to go for lowest cost route. So by going for lowest cost route, if they've got an email address, it will try and email it. If they don't have an email address but they've got a fax number, it will try and fax it, and if they've got neither of them, it's going to try and print it. So I'm just going to try and print that. Tells me that the printer's unavailable because I'm not actually connected to a printer. But what I should see if I close this, obviously if I was connected to a printer it'd print out for me. If I go into my mail client here, back into the outbox, I should see that I've got a fax there in the format of an email with a fax number at fax.tc, which is what we discussed in the system manager option for our fax provider, and we've also got the email there for the email, so we can see that that's working okay. Okay, we're now going to go and create a recurring transaction, which is down here under tools. A recurring transaction is basically for a recurring sales order, so we're going to do it for sales order number 1, and we're going to recur every 2 days starting on the 15th of January. Need to give it a description. Okay, if I then go into process recurring transactions, I should see my order in the list. So I tick that and click OK to process the order. It then runs the wizard, and it's going to show me how many recurring orders I should do. So from the 15th of Jan, every 2 days, it's saying I need to do 5 transactions up to the date where I am at the moment. So if I tick the ones I want to recur, which I'll do all of them, I've got select all button up here, might as well do that, and then go next, and what it will do is it will create all my recurring transactions and finish. Now in the amend recurring transaction tab, I can go and amend the transaction to recur at less frequency, more frequency, or I can inactivate it as well. And in the history tab,